Hi, it's Heather. Thought I'd pop on today, do my first video for probably a fortnight, and show you something that I've been meaning to show you for some considerable time now. But I watched a video by Corn on Cornflower Crafts this morning, and it sort of reminded me to go and do it. So thank you, Corn, for the inspiration. I've found my coffee filters, and I will be colouring them. But I thought I'd quickly grab one out. So thank you ever so much for the inspiration. I shall be doing that later on. So I've got those, but I'm not doing coffee filters today. You need to check out Corn's video. I will link it below, and then you can see what she did with hers, because she's very inspirational, and I'm sure you will be wanting to play with your coffee filters as soon as you see it. So putting that to one side, but the reason I mention that in particular is because she inspired me. She made this gorgeous little ice cream cone using the coffee filters, and I just thought, how cute is that? But she said at the time, oh, I wish I had a waffle cone stamp. And I thought, you know what, I was going to do a video about making your own stamps, making your own marks on paper. So that's what made me think I need to come on, do this video, and I'll show you some of the different ways that you can make marks if you don't have the right stamp for the occasion. Now, I'm not talking about, you know, the making your own photopolymer stamps or anything like that. Obviously you can do that, and I have, funnily enough, got a kit that has never been used. So one day I might even drag that out. You might force me to actually use it, as long as the photopolymer stuff hasn't already gone off. But this is just using sort of everyday items that a crafter's likely to have that you can use to make your own stamps with, or make your own marks on paper. So you probably already have an absolute abundance of this sort of thing. Loads and loads of stamps. I've got absolutely tons of them, and I've given a load away because I don't actually use pre-made stamps very often. So I dragged those ones out because I actually do want to use them. I want to use my stash. But it's so easy to make marks using items that you already have, especially if you are a die cutting hoarder like I am, because I just have every shape imaginable that I could easily use to make my own stamps with. So I thought I'd show you that today. So talking of waffling on, a waffle cone, I made the marks on this, we'll start with the first one, using a little piece of packaging that came to me this week, and all it is it's not even polystyrene, it's that weird puffy plastic stuff, but it's got a lovely little rounded edge to it. So all I did was use that and a little bit of ink on a plastic mat so I don't pick up too much, and just because it's got a straight edge, it's really easy just to make marks as if it was a little ice cream cone. So then turn that round and then do the crisscross pattern. Because it doesn't have to be perfect, does it? And then I just added a tiny little bit more just around the edge, using the sponge just to add a little bit of definition. Obviously doing it on camera has not come out quite as well, but you get the general gist. So that's basically just using a piece of packaging material, and it's that sort of spongy, foamy, not polystyrene, but sort of on a similar lines of packaging material. So that's using that just to make basic marks with a bit of ink. So that's the first one. Right, the second idea is using funky foam. Now, I always say this in my videos, this isn't anything new. I'm sure there are millions of people out there that have done this already, probably uploaded YouTube videos. I haven't seen them personally, and this is something that I've been doing for years. So I'm just showing you, you know, this is a benefit of my personal experience, but I'm not claiming it as my own idea. It just happens to be an idea that I have had, and probably isn't original. So that's using funky foam, and this one's an adhesive foam. Yeah, you can get these sheets from any craft place. You probably have loads of them. at home in your craft stash, but you can get them from Poundland and places like that. And basically, if you've got a die cutting machine, you can cut out really perfect shapes like that, and this is from a die cutter as well, and they make absolutely superb stamps. So all you need is an acrylic block, or even a block of wood, or obviously the acrylic blocks are brilliant because you can see through them, but you know, you could use anything to stick them on. And I've got the self-adhesive stuff here, so literally just cut a shape out, peel the backing off and stick it in place, and that makes an absolutely superb stamp. So let's have a look. We'll use the black just because that's what I've got handy. It's better if you've got a juicy stamp, but because it's slightly raised, it usually gives quite a good impression. So there you go. So obviously it's not taken quite so well on the side, but you know, that's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? And you can do that with any of your dies. I think probably even the thin dies will cut through Funky Foam because it's really easy to cut through. You don't have to use the self-adhesive stuff. You can use a spray adhesive or a little bit of PVA or something like that if you don't mind sticking it onto your acrylic block and leaving it there. And you'll probably find that you've got certain shapes that you'll use over and over again, like I do with the hearts. I just use these loads. Hearts are used for everything, aren't they, really? So I just leave them on here and then they're ready to go. You can see I've used these absolutely loads. So I mean, that would make a lovely new home card, wouldn't it, if you stamp that. So there you go. So that's Funky Foam. The other, obviously if you're using your die cutter, you can cut out pieces of fabric that are nice and textural, pieces of packaging, if it's not too thick. I've got a really thick cutting machine, so I've got some really thick dies, and they cut through practically anything. So, you know, using thin packaging materials, no problem. I got some gorgeous sort of foamy stuff in the post, nice and thin, so you could use that. But this is actually from an old jumper, and that would make a really nice textural stamp as well. So again, that could just be stuck onto your acrylic block. I'm not going to stamp that one because it's the same anyway. So another idea I had, apart from that, is to use these corks. Now, this is the sort of thing I do save. I've sort of said before in videos that I don't save all the junk that comes into my house to use for junk journals, because I have things on a regular basis that I don't need to save, because I can literally, you know, any other day there will be some of it in the recycling bin, so I don't need to worry about it. But I do always save corks because I just think they're really useful, and they make fantastic stamps. You can use them as a handle that you can attach something to. So here I've attached a little wooden heart. You can see a theme, can't you? I use hearts for everything. So let's see if this works. I haven't actually tried this one yet, but it's going to have a lovely texture. Let's see how well this one works. Oh, how perfect is that? So that shows up a really lovely, the wooden texture on there, and is really precise. And I've got, where did I put it? Oh, I put it on the other side, so the wooden part of that. And again, it's another little wooden heart, and I've just used some glue to glue it on. I just used a solvent-based glue. You have to forgive me, honestly. I have no idea what I used. It may have been that, is it Uhu? H-U-H-U solvent glue. But I honestly can't remember because I did it a little while ago. So you want something that sticks really well. But there you go, look at that. So just using a couple of those cheap wooden embellishments on the end of a cork. And again, you could probably stick them onto an acrylic block or just a wooden block or something like that, and that would work just as well. The other thing with the cork is, although obviously it's quite a small space that you've got to work with, but they do make super stamps in themselves. So all you have to do is just draw a little image on the underside of your cork, just use a pencil. I'm not sure whether you can even see that, but I did a little crisscross. Now I am not going to cut this out on camera because I will probably cut myself, and obviously if you're going to use craft knives, then be very careful, only if you're an adult, all that disclaimer blah blah. But it is actually really easy to cut a shape out on the bottom of a cork. So you can see here that I've cut a little heart out, and these are absolutely gorgeous. They're very primitive and small, but they make absolutely superb little borders. So you could cut little flags or something like that, and they just, because you've got the texture with them, I just think they're absolutely super. And they look great just with the black, but obviously you could use any colour that you want. So if you're going to do that, obviously take good care, and I take no responsibility if you injure yourself during so. So another idea, as well as the corks, another recycled idea, I use this vinyl stuff, a bit of vinyl flooring. So again, very similar to the funky foam, but you just get a slightly different texture, and obviously it's not adhesive. But you can cut, again, using your die cutter, cut any material really that's slightly, slightly raised. So you could use this. I've used vinyl flooring, but you could easily use cardboard. You could use craft board, the grey board, and things like that. As long as it's got a little bit of a couple of millimetres to it, then that will stamp absolutely fine. And again, just pop those, stick them onto an acrylic block, and then you can easily make yourself some pretty patterns. So I'm just going to cut that off there, and I'm going to risk spray. I haven't got my window open at the moment because it's just come over with a grey cloud, so I'm just going to spray this. Oh, that's not very good. Ooh, I think my nozzle may have been just slightly gunked up then. I'm going to attempt to stick that down. I don't think that's going to stick particularly well. Ooh, no, that's not very good at all, is it? Gosh, it's gone everywhere. Anyway, you get the idea. You just basically just need an adhesive to stick it down. This is a stick and spray. It's actually for fabric, but I haven't used it for ages, so I think the nozzle might be a little bit gunked up. But what you don't want is what I just did there, with a load of gunk around it, because if that sits proud, then you're going to pick that up when you actually do the stamp. But you get the drift, so let's see what that stamps out like. Now once you've made your own stamps, obviously as long as you're not using sort of copyright images for them, you could always make your own stamps. Oh, that's lovely, look at that. Because of the texture, it's like got a grain texture to it. You could always so cut your own stamp using scissors, draw your own image, and then you can make a picture of that by taking a photograph or scanning it in, and you could upload that to a site like Canva, and you can digitally alter that to make that a repeating pattern, or to change the colour and remove the background and stuff like that. And you can literally make an entire background by digitally altering it, but you started off with your own artwork. So the possibilities are literally endless. Little bits of foam, bits of packaging material, old corks, embellishments, buttons, you name it, you can use it to make marks and to make your own stamps with. So that's it for this video. Thank you ever so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks again, Corn, for the inspiration. I will be going off to dye my papers very soon, and oh, remember, if you're not a subscriber, do subscribe and click that notification bell to make sure that you're notified of all the videos that I release, just in case you want to see any of them in the future. And thanks very much for joining me. Take care. Bye.